welcome back to the Whatnauts review show number 191. My name is Kyle Springer and I am joined by Melissa Wilkinson. Melissa, how's it going?
I'm doing fine, Kyle. How was your weekend, Ben?
It's been good so far, playing a lot of Pokemon, which I'm playing the new Pokemon Legends Arceus, and it's been fantastic. I love it a lot. And then I got a haircut this morning, so I'm feeling good. I got up a little earlier than I normally do. Yeah, got my haircut, had a donut for breakfast. It's a good day.
Oh, man. What
good
donut?
Day. My favorite is glazed devil's food, or like the chocolate devil's food. So that's what
Excellent.
I got. The chocolate
Excellent choice.
donut with the glaze on top.
Ooh.
What about you? How's your weekend been?
It's good. I haven't had a donut. Now I feel my weekend is inferior. But I baked a big pan of focaccia bread again this week and went over to a friend's house, enjoyed a movie together. Movie and bread.
Good stuff. Good stuff. That sounds fun. What movie did you guys watch?
She's got a very fancy high-end home theater setup that whenever I go over to her house, I always want to really take advantage of it. So we watched Blade Runner 2049.
Good movie. That's an awesome one. But that is not what we are here to talk about this week, because if you guys did not know, every week here on the review show, we have a different story to talk about. It could be a manga, it could be a comic book, it could be a movie, a TV show, who knows? It could be all sorts of stuff, but we read it, we watch it, we do what we have to do, and then come back here and talk about it. This week, we are discussing a manga. It's our end of the month special, our first one of the new year. So yeah, we are covering a manga called Knights of Sidonia, and we're going to be covering the first 8 volumes, which is just about half of I guess just past halfway. Of this. So we'll cover the second half, the remaining 7 volumes at the end of next month, at the end of February. So be on the lookout for that down the road. But here and now, volumes 1 through 8 of Knights of Sidonia. This is written by, I'm pulling up all the info here. It's written by Tsutomu Nihei, I believe is how you pronounce it. I thought that was an L at first when I was looking it up this morning, but I think that's an I at the end there. But yeah, he's the creator of Balam. If you guys have seen that one too, it's spelled Blame with an exclamation mark, but it's pronounced Balam. That was, I think, one of something else that I recognized of his. But Knights of Sidonia, sci-fi, space, adventure, mech suits, good stuff. Alien creatures, all sorts of cool things. Melissa, you were the one that picked this out of the kind of few that I suggested for our end of the month special. What made you decide on this one?
The other ones you pitched were some baseball manga, and I got a couple pages into it, and it was already more sports lingo than I knew what to do with. I'm like, I'm not going to find a footing here. I know you won't either. Neither of us know anything about baseball. And then the other one was Love Hina, which could have been interesting, but I thought if this is a title that we're going to stick with for a considerable amount of time, it's just this romantic comedy story where like every month it's like, wow, he accidentally tripped and fell into boobs again. I wonder what's going to how else he's going to accidentally touch boobs next month.
In this series,
but this narrative felt like it had the most meat onto it that we could like grab onto.
Yeah,
we have sci-fi backgrounds here on the show. Yeah. We cover a lot of sci-fi here. You're in particular a big mech fan. I like Pacific Rim and and the big O, and that's it. I
Sure.
do like a second mech title. And I guess this is now by default my third favorite mech title. But I started reading it and I thought the world building was very interesting.
Okay. Good stuff. Good
So
stuff.
that's what brought me to this title specifically.
Cool. Good to know. Yeah, I had heard of this a while back. I was introduced to it through Netflix because they made an anime adaptation of this, and this was like right when Netflix was trying to make a big push into like, hey, let's help fund some anime and get it on our platform. So it was this and Ajin Demi Human that were like the two big ones that Netflix produced. And I know on the Whatnauts podcast, the old version of this show, me and Paul covered I believe we did the anime of that, or maybe we did the manga, but we covered it somehow on that, and then I watched them on Netflix. So years ago, I watched Knights of Sidonia, but I don't really I don't know if it was just like it was late at night and I was half asleep when I was watching it. It was like the show that I was watching when I was falling asleep or stuff like that. But I don't really remember much about the show. Like I remember bits and pieces, but not much. And so I've always kind of wanted to dive back into the story because the bits that I do remember, I remember liking. And so I was like, maybe I should check out the manga instead. So here we are, checking out the manga, volumes 1 through 8.
And we miraculously did land on a pretty good cliffhanger, even though we did just sort of arbitrarily divide it in half.
I feel like maybe the first 7 volumes would have been a cleaner cut because there's less of a cliffhanger, but yeah, like volume 8 is like they're kind of starting that second phase of stuff, and there's that thing like, oh, now I need to read more. Find out next time on Knights of Sidonia. So yeah, but yeah, I'm enjoying this with some hesitations. I think there's not anything that I feel like is bad, but there's stuff that I'm just like they're glossing over all of this. Like there's so much more that I feel like this story could be doing to make it that much better. And again, not in a sense that like, oh, it's just doing all these bad things. The characters are bad. The writing is bad. The art is bad. Everything is bad. It's not that. It's just like, I like what we have. You've mentioned a couple details. It'd be fun to know more about those things.
Yeah.
Tell me more about those, but then it doesn't. So I'm in this like weird middle ground with this story right now where it's like, I am enjoying it, but it's so hyper focused on this one aspect of it that I feel like we're missing out, if that makes sense. That's how I feel about it, at least this first half.
Yeah. There's a lot of plot machinations I didn't totally follow, but I think that's on me and not on the story. I think that's on me just reading it too fast.
Gotcha. Yeah, I also had an interesting experience with Comixology Unlimited, which is where we are reading this. I typically read it on my phone because that's just what it is. But it's so small. It's so small.
Yeah,
these phones are so big for an actual phone. It's still like too small to read. Like I can do it, but it's not my preferred thing. I don't have a tablet. I do have a laptop that can like fold all the way back so it can be a tablet. So this is where my interesting experience comes in. I haven't used Comixology Unlimited on my laptop in years. It's again always been on my phone, and for some reason, it felt like a terrible experience. it only allowed me to read the manga when 2 pages were up at the same time,
That's
instead of on my
strange.
phone where I can just read 1 page each, except for like volume 5, which like I I don't know, but yeah. So I read the first couple volumes on my phone, and I was like, I remember enough of this that I know what's going on at the start, but I can tell that like the artwork is just like that. I feel like if I could see it bigger, like I would understand a little bit more what's happening. Um, so yeah, I went to my laptop. I had to read it in landscape mode because it would display
Mm.
2 pages. So things were bigger, and it's like reading an actual comic. So that was fine. But yeah, then oddly, like volume 5 was like, you can read these as single pages. So I did, because that's what I was hoping to do. So I had these like giant pages. But then every 30 pages or so, Comixology would just like spaz out and be like, oops, we don't know what happened.
Oh,
Something went
weird.
wrong. And I would just have to like go back into my books and reload the book and do all of that. And it was just it like without fail, like every like 20 to 30 pages, just be like, we don't like this. Who uses a computer to read manga?
Who uses a phone? Like the thought of
Right.
reading a comic on my phone is breaking me. I can't. I need that to be on a separate device. My phone is for
I read
business.
so much. Yeah. I'm saving up for an iPad, so I can like that can be like my comic device, that I can just read comics on that thing, and I'll be a happy boy.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna upgrade my dinky little cheap tablet soon, exclusively for comics. It's all I ever use this tablet for is Comixology Unlimited, and even that like overloads it. It takes forever to load like the home page, and I can't live like that anymore. Even if it is a better screen size than reading it on my phone.
True. But yeah, so I think all that goes to say that yes, reading this on my phone, I felt like the artwork was too small, and like I said, the story hyper focuses on the kind of war that's going on. We'll get into the synopsis in a sec here, but so much so that I felt like even the artwork kind of like cuts out everything you don't need that's not about the war, that it's just like I like it felt like I was like, is that all there is in that panel? Like there has to be more. Like things just felt like they were so like cropped tight and stuff like that. So that I think made it hard to understand the story. It felt like I didn't understand the space, what room they were in, where they were, how far things were. Like just I didn't really understand the context of if that makes sense. So yeah, that was interesting. But then once I read volume 5 in those big giant pages, I was like, oh, this is so much better. Like I understand what things look like, and I like it just gave me a better sense of space. Which is interesting. And I guess that's also 5 volumes in, so maybe decided to be like, maybe I should add a little bit more space to these things here. So I feel like that all sounds like me talking nonsense. So I say we do a plot synopsis and then maybe give final thoughts on our spoiler-free thoughts on this. So, plot synopsis. I am terrible with character names, so I'm going to screw this one up. But the main character that we follow has grown up on this spaceship, But he's grown up in kind of the underground of the spaceship. He's like hidden away in like the sewer system kind of thing. And that's just all he's known. It's been him and his grandpa, I think, just kind of living dead down there, struggling to survive. Well, everyone else on the spaceship, like, they have apartments and they can go shopping and there's malls and there's cafeterias and they got a whole military
Not enough malls
up there.
for my taste.
Right? But they got all sorts of stuff, right? They have a whole ocean inside the spaceship.
Yeah.
So he eventually has to kind of venture out on his own because his grandfather has passed away, to which he kind of ventures out into the regular parts of the spaceship and almost immediately is kind of swept up and inducted into their military as one of the pilots, because he has some skill with that, and the whole thing is kind of strange.
He's been practicing on like a simulator. So he's been playing a like simulator game his entire life, living in, you know, the crypt of the ship with just him and his grandpa. And he wanders out one day to find Rice, and they're like, "Deuce that strange boy. Let's bring him in and interrogate him." "Oh, he knows pilot stuff." "Well, we always need pilots. Pilots getting killed all the time. Let's just make the boy a pilot."
Exactly. And yeah, it turns out that humanity a long time ago has kind of left Earth because this alien species came and started attacking it, called what I'm going to say for most of this, the Guana, I think is how you pronounce it. I want to say Guana, but that's not it because the U and the A are switched. So it should be Guana, I think.
Yeah. I say with certainty, but my only certainty is that that's also what I said in my head.
Sure.
Yes,
yeah,
Guana.
Yeah. Guana with the wind. And so, yeah, those Guana start attacking Earth. And so in this kind of like apocalyptic alien invasion, humanity just leaves Earth in these giant spaceships to go venture out and try and survive, to find a new planet, all sorts of stuff. So it's now at least a few hundred years later. I think it's a few thousand, but I don't know. But they've had multiple wars with the Guana. Now there is some history there. They've started to figure out some weapons that are effective against the Guana, so they can start to fight back. And yeah, here we are on this spaceship out in space, searching for a new planet, and more Guana start to show up, and so they're just like, "Hey, new kid, you want to be a pilot? You're in the army now. Ivana Niaj, join the Navy." That's basically it. That's basically the plot.
Yeah, they pilot these mechs called Guards, Garde. Not guard, just like a regular security guard, like a Paul Blart. They pilot guards, they go out in space, they fight the Guana, and the whole story is just Nagate Tanikaze, his life as this pilot, and learning to adjust to just what the world is. Like learning about different types of people. This is a future where, in order to help food insecurity after the Guana like attacked and destroyed so much of Earth, human beings develop themselves into being able to photosynthesize. They only need to eat actual food once a week. The rest of the time, they just strip down naked and bathe in the sunlight. And they're like, "Yum, I'm full." So he never had that treatment or whatever. He wasn't bred to have that. So he's the only person who's eating all the time.
Which is kind of an anime trope in
It
a
is,
lot
yeah.
of stuff. Like the like the like shonen like main character hero
Yeah.
always just has a huge appetite, but this is also just like a story reason for that to happen. Like he's the only one that like needs to eat, so they're all just like,
Yeah.
oh my god, you eat so much. But to us it's just like, no,
Right.
he's just had like his normal like 2 to 3 meals a day.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. But yeah, it's good. It's an interesting story. I like it a lot. I like what they have. If you are into mechs and like mech sci-fi space adventures, I think this is a cool one. I think this would be an interesting one to do in tandem with the anime adaptation, to like read a big chunk of it and then go watch it on screen, because I think watching it on screen will help give you a sense of space with this, which is one of my big complaints. So there you go. That I think is our spoiler-free thoughts on that one. Let's take a quick break for housekeeping, and then we will be right back. We put a lot of hard work into the shows that we make, and yes, we make multiple different shows here at the Whatnauts, and we'd love it if you would check them all out. You can find out more information on our website at thewhatnauts.com, as well as your favorite podcasting platform of choice. When you type in the Whatnauts, all of our shows will pop up right there. Just don't forget to give us a nice rating and review if you like the shows. If you want to support what we do here at The Whatnauts, patreon.com/The Whatnauts is the best place to do that. You can support us for as little as $1 a month. You can get all kinds of exclusive content at the $3 tier. You can also get a shout out and thank you on all of our shows at the $5 tier. You can support us on Twitch by subscribing to our channel at twitch.tv/The Whatnauts, and we would love to have you all join us for our live streams and talk with us in the chat. And lastly, we have merch. If you want to grab yourself a shirt or a sweatshirt or a mug or something else, go to thewhatnauts.com/store to pick up some merch today. And we are back. A big shout out to all of our Patreon supporters, especially those at the $5 tier. So thank you to Sam. We appreciate you. Thank you for supporting us. It means a lot. Yeah. Cool things that we've been up to here on the review show. Ignacio and I recorded crossplay yesterday, and we got to talk a bunch about Pokemon Legends Arceus. The 8-year-old inside of me is so happy for this game. I love it. I'm obsessed. It's a lot of fun. If you guys want to find out more details, go check out crossplay, our video game podcast. That would mean a lot. On the captain's log, man, we had a lot of fun talking about how Nick Cage declared, "I am goth." So go find out what that means on the captain's log.
It is what you think it means. There's not a lot of mystery there.
But it's fun. It was fun to talk about. Good stuff. Yeah, I'm sure in the coming weeks here we are hoping to do something on Peacemaker when that wraps up. We'll do a spoiler cast for that over on the Reactor Core. So be looking out for that. I do want to say that our January Patreon exclusive thing is up. It is our video game fantasy draft. So if you are at the $3 tier or higher, you can see all the guys from Crossplay, as well as a guest who joins us, do a fantasy draft that we will be checking in on each month this year. I think it'll be a lot of fun. And last but not least, we updated our merch store with some stuff from the Reactor Core. So if you guys want some Reactor Core merch, go check out our store, thewhatnauts.com/store. There you go. With that, though, we should get into spoilers. Here we are. Spoilers. Melissa, Thoughts on this book? Where do you want to start? Is there something that caught your attention? Because I know you're not as big of a mech fan, and
No.
me not remembering like most of this story, I didn't realize like how much this actually focused on like the mechs and the fighting and all like the big space battles and stuff like that. So what about this story stood out to you?
I gotta say, the battles I just completely glossed over, which is not an effect of the book. It's an effect of me. I check out during extended action scenes, particularly in like a comic where I don't have actual motion that I'm looking at. So I just sort of flip through the battles, but thankfully it seems like most of them went pretty regularly. I got the big effects out of it, like, oh, that co-pilot died. Or a Guana ate that one and turned into her, and then Tanikaze had to stab her. I know the important bits, the important effects of these things. Like I said, I really like the world building here. I like the setting. I like Sidonia itself. One of my favorite aspects of the book is that the opening title page for almost every issue is just a scenic portrait of the city, and it's labeled 100 Sights of Sidonia. Pilot dormitories back staircase, and it's just like a shot of
it's just
some part of the city, and maybe like one character will be standing there handedly, like some photographer has caught them on a break.
That I think is maybe one of my favorite bits of the book, but also where one of my bigger complaints comes in with the book. So in looking up the mangaka, the creator of this manga, it turns out that he has a background in architecture. And
I can see that for sure.
Yeah, it makes sense with these like just like here's a picture of this stairway, here's a picture of the this thing, here's the engine room, here's just these, like, it's not a still life, but it's like a landscape painting of just like here's this like really serene back stairway. Well, I'm gonna use the back stairway a lot because that's the he does a couple different locations that happen to have stairs, so it seems like he maybe like stairs in there, and the whole like interior of the ship is just covered in stairways and stuff. But yeah, I think the architecture background comes through in those pictures. But this is where my complaint about space comes in. It's so hyper focused on the war with the Guana and these pilots and the guards that I really don't understand what that ship looks like on the inside. And I think that sucks. Like, I want to know what this ship looks like, especially now that I know that he has a background in architecture. It's like, dude, this should be like the shining star of the book. Like, I should know what this space looks like, and I don't feel like I do.
Yeah, you go to a lot of different locations.
So good.
And it's true. Like, there will be individual places they're in that look nice, but you don't have a sense of geography within the ship. How far away things are, what's next to each other, how big is the ship, how long does it take you to get from one part to the other? You know, if Nagate's out on a walk with Zana and then he's like, I have to go to battle, like, how long does that take him to get into, you know, the battle scene? Where does it go change? How does it get into his guard?
Yeah, I mean, does he have like does some kind of commute? Like, does it take him 30 or 40 minutes to get there? Right? Like,
yeah, I gotta catch the subway into war.
Right. I feel like the book is just cramped. Like, you just don't, there's no sense, like you have mentioned a number of times, you like a good extra size, giant, large sci-fi room. Yes. And I feel like this ship should have those.
I would like more.
And I don't feel like it does, even though
Mm,
it
mm-hmm.
technically does. Right? Like we know that there are some rooms in here that are just ginormous, but I don't feel like we've gotten that scene where like you turn the page and you're just like, oh shit, they're in this like gigantic thing. There was like one or two scenes. I think there was one
Yeah.
scene where they're in the when they're in the water inside the ship and they
Yeah.
dive in and you just see this like giant whale looking thing underneath them and they're just like, oh god, that is huge. That'd be scary. I
Mm-hmm.
don't like this. But yeah, like the main deck of the ship where the commander does, like I feel like that room should be ginormous, right? But I don't have a sense of scale there. So that I think
Scale.
is maybe my biggest complaint with the book.
I I understand. Yeah, it's something I would wish for a little bit more detail. I think he does scale well with the war outside of the ship, like the
Yep.
Garde, like how big the Guana are, how big the Guana cluster ships are compared to Sidonia. I do really like in the later volumes when we've got Samugi, and there's that part where like everybody, she's just been debuted, and everybody's talking to her through like a big window in the ship, and it's like she's huge. She is
Yeah.
stories tall. She's just
Yeah.
hovering outside, and you have to like go to the atrium and yell through a window at this half human, half Ghana new pilot prodigy.
Yeah. It's just like I need more of that.
Yeah.
Which yeah, like that's the thing. Like I don't feel like there's stuff in here that the creator is doing poorly. It's just like
Mm.
I need more of these
Yeah.
certain details and
Yes.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
I like everything you have. Just please point your camera somewhere else for a little bit longer, please.
yes.
Like I
Um
I love the world building here, and there's stuff I want to learn a lot more about, and instead it's like here's another battle. I want to
yep.
learn about how different biologically different humans are. I think that's a very interesting aspect to this book. I talked about how they photosynthesize now. Nagate is the only one who doesn't. And another one is that there are humans who have the biological capability to switch their genitalia and like reproduce with either sexes or asexually reproduce a clone, which is mentioned. And we see that there's like one group of girls in Tanikaze's like piloting class who are apparently all clones. They're all exactly the like. They've got like very slight differentiations in their haircut. I want to learn so much more about them. At one point they mentioned like,
Absolutely.
oh, we were cloned, we were grown very quickly. We're only 5 years old. I need to learn more about where you came from. Who's the original one? Where is your parent? Who's that? Why are there so many of you? Were you bred specifically to be soldiers?
Yeah.
What's your deal here?
Yeah.
Tell me about that, please. Instead of just like, here they are. They're gonna get in the guards and fight again.
There's stuff like that. There's characters that I want to know more about that we don't really get to know. I think just by nature of a lot of the pilots die or get killed. Like you just don't get to know some of these characters, and so it's hard for me then to like get emotionally attached or be like, oh man, not this character. No, I wanted to see them go to the mall on Saturday. That would have been cool. But yeah, we just don't get that. So like you had mentioned that some of these battles like you kind of glossed over and that was your own thing. I don't think that was just you.
Okay.
Again, just like by my complaint of being cramped in terms of space, we're seeing a lot of close-ups of the Garde mechs or the pilot helmets, and then there's the like the like speed trails behind it, and then there's this alien life form that is like unfamiliar. It's just a lot of unfamiliar shapes and lines and stuff like that. It's just, it kind of just becomes gobbledygook. It's just like
sometimes it does.
Action is happening. Like I could turn the page, and if it only said in text, "Action is happening," I'd be like,
exactly.
All right, cool. Next page, right? Like that's it. And I think it wasn't until, like I mentioned, volume 5, where okay, maybe the creator had started to get some feedback as more and more people started buying the manga and stuff. So it seems like he did zoom out a small bit, and then I got, you know, those bigger pages that I could see, and that helped a ton. But to kind of piggyback off of everything we've been saying so far, like I want more context about the history of this stuff. Like there's when they first meet this hybrid, there's a lot of people in there who have like mixed feelings about incorporating this into the military or bringing it on the ship. And like I just like I feel like it goes to the next battle so fast that you don't really get to sit with the characters in the ship of like, what's the morale like on the ship? What do these workers who work on the guards, like, how do they feel? Like, they seem to be against this. Do they feel like they're being put out of a job, or are they scared because of the history? Okay, what is the history? You mentioned there was a guard, like I think the one they're on now is the 4th Guard War is what they said, and it's been like 100 years. Like I want to know more of that. Like, and we get some mysteries revealed as the story continues, right? I never feel like it's enough. I never feel like they give you the pertinent information that I think this story is trying to tell, but this story is also not trying to tell the story of them going shopping on a Saturday, how the workers are feeling, what's the morale like. Like they don't do the everyman perspective in this.
It is difficult.
And I want that.
You learn, you know what Sidonia looks like, you know aesthetically what it is, but there's a lot of the culture I feel like you're missing out on because it's so war-based that you never really engage in any cultural activities for very long. Like there is I think one time they go to Gravity Festival briefly, which is a fascinating concept. But the thing about our protagonist is that he's not just this hotshot guard pilot. He is required to be in every battle. Like they don't just pull him out, you know, when they need to. It's not like he's got like a quota of, well, I'm in, you know, half the battles every week and, you know, that's my shift. No, like the commander set it up to be like, okay, I'll let you be a guard pilot. You're a guard pilot every time we need a guard pilot. Like you don't get a day off. Like if there's a battle, we are calling you. So it is part of it is a narrative reason why we're continually starting something and then having to leave it. He's like, well, Guana sighting, I gotta go. But just once I would like a day where we do get to spend more time at the Gravity Festival, at the ocean level, just climbing up that big tree with Azana. Like, can we engage in a non-battle activity for like one entire issue, please? Can we get a little bit more time there?
Just follow another character. Like I get that if Tanikaze has to go off and fight, like what happens to the characters that need to stay there, that have to hook themselves onto this thing and literally just stand there? Like, what do they think is going on? Because they had this really, really interesting moment that I thought just by itself, like we could spend a whole volume on what just happened with this thing here, where the Guana is basically shooting this missile at them, and the ship has to like do these evasive maneuvers, but it's so sudden and it's so fast that it basically like shakes these people like through walls, and they hit, and like it kills that thousands. It's like, hey, if the ship is to survive, we're gonna sacrifice like thousands of people that live here on this ship. And you see like one or two panels of like people being thrown through walls and like hitting the exterior wall, and just splats like on the wall. And then the next chapter in the manga is like, well, we just spent 2 whole weeks cleaning up all those bodies and stuff. And it's like, oh my God, like, what was that like? What would that be like for the people to just see these bodies just laying there for so long, because there's so many of them that to clean them all up, it takes 2 weeks. Like, holy moly, like that. Like, what kind of trauma is just like the regular people going through in this? And those, to me, are the most fascinating things about this book that it's not telling us anything about.
Right. We have no sense of average civilian life. We are so focused on the life of the soldier.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
So I think we've beat that drum quite a bit here. I want to talk about the Guana and our thoughts on the aliens. So these, it kind of starts out as this like amorphous pink blob, or I imagine them as pink. I don't know. I think that might be one of the things that I remember from the show, is that they're like this like pink flesh tone thing, because they
vaguely fleshy.
Yeah, they call the like outer layer of this a placenta. And
the placenta can like morph and change shape, and like if it gets a hold of something, it can mimic that shape. So a Guana will like mold itself into a Garde. And at one point, pretty early on, there is a Guana who like gets a tentacle inside one of the guards and grabs hold of the pilot and like morphs into this girl who's one of Tanikaze's colleagues, one of his few friends, and he has to like take his space sword and like stab this alien recreation of a girl he knows.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. Like, again, they don't give us like, what is that doing to him mentally? Like, we don't really get much of his mental state. I'm like, I just had to kill some, like, not I mean, he didn't have to kill someone he loved, but like I just had to kill someone that I knew, like it looked like them. Like, what does that do?
And he's known one person his entire life. He's like 17 maybe. He's known only his grandpa. He like lived in the bowels of the ship with his grandpa, and he's like seen other humans in like simulations. And then he goes up to the world just like looking for food, and then he's swept up in everything. And there's a lot of points where the story points to how biologically different he is from everybody else. Like, he's still learning everything. He's learning about, all these new biological humans, and like, oh, you guys photosynthesize? I need to eat rice. We've got that, but I need more of just the awkwardness of, I've never talked to a girl, never seen one in person, only seen grandpa. The only human I know is grandpa type.
You mean there's more grandpas? Like I like all that stuff. I like the Guana is just so. I think one of the best things about this story is just how rapidly the Guana is changing and evolving.
Yeah.
Like that is something that I think is neat. It's not just like, oh, we're fighting this bad guy that we like, they just don't like. It's just such an interesting detail that it is like actively evolving fast, and the like impending doom of like, well, the weapons we had 2 weeks ago now don't work against this thing because they've evolved to a point where they're basically useless. So we need to come up with something new. And they always do, which again is just like, well, how long did that take? Is this next battle like months down the road? What happened here? But yeah, like to me, that is, I think, the scariest thing about the Guana is just how quickly it changes. Like each time you go out, it is something new. They just never know. Like, is it going to be the hawk moth thing that like it started to mimic our pilots? Is it going to be mimicking our cannons? Is it going to be like, what's happening here? So good stuff. I like that.
And they do show up so suddenly, which it is part of the fear of them, and also part of some other things of the story that may bug us a little bit, that we never get the time to spend in any non-war activities. Because as soon as Tanikaze gets there, it's like, somebody spotted a Guana. We can't predict when they show up, so now he has to leave.
Yep.
He never has like a whole day he can plan to do anything else.
Yeah. I liked the idea of the hawk moth thing, where it mimics, like it is the Guana's version of the ace pilot. Right? Where it's like, we have our regular placenta monster and things that we send out, but then there's the hawk moth, the one that's just like, oh shit, when that one shows up, you're like, uh-oh, no good. And they eventually destroy it, and the next big bad thing comes along. Yeah, like I don't remember where this story goes with the Guana. Like, I don't remember, like, how intelligent exactly are they? Like, do they have some kind of communication? Because they mention multiple times in the show that, or in the manga, sorry, that it, like, they don't really know much about the Guana. They just showed up and it seemed to attack us, but we don't know if that's them trying to communicate. Like, maybe they just want to be friends with us and they just don't know how to do it exactly. And so by them changing and evolving, is that them getting better at this? Like, there's this idea in the background of like, should we really be fighting these things here?
Yeah. I do like that angle. It doesn't come up as often, at least until we've got, I think Hoshijiro was her name, this co-pilot who like has a crush on Tanikaze, and he like kind of like, he likes her back as a friend, but is like, maybe he has a crush on her. Like I said, he's never seen another girl. He's still figuring things out. And she dies in battle, and a Guana replicates her. And then after they defeat the Guana, they're able to like take the part of the Guana that is like the placenta that's like morphed into her. And the ship is like, we want to study this. We've never seen a Guana like replicate a human so closely before. So she's like in a tank, and she slowly starts to develop like some sort of awareness. Like, she's not Hoshijiro anymore, but she's got, like they'll be scanning her, and they're like, her brainwaves do light up whenever Tanikaze comes to visit her. So there's something, there's some like shadow of a memory still left within her. And that's what they use to make Tsumugi, right? The like human Guana, like actual hybrid. And I like Tsumugi. Tsumugi has like actual personality. She's weirdly cute for being a big sort of Guana shape, who also turns into a dick tentacle, and the dick tentacle can like slip through all the pipes of the ship seemingly infinitely.
Talk about laying some pipe, you know
Truly.
What I mean?
And like, listener, I need you to know, I am not saying dick tentacle lightly. This is the most penile looking non-actual penis I've ever seen.
Oh my god, the panel where it sleeps with where it like goes in, it's just a giant penis like laying in bed. It's a body pillow that's shaped like a penis.
Exactly. But like talks very cute and is like, "Hi, Tanikaze. oh, I'm happy I could come out and visit you today. Yeah, and it just like snakes through the pipes seemingly infinitely. Like they're never like, oh no, Samuki can't reach over here. As long as she's got pipes, she can go anywhere. And like when I really like
she's
it when
got pipes.
right, Tanikaze and Izana move in together. They're like, and they both love Samuki. They're like, we should buy a place with pipes that is that is the right configuration of pipes that Samuki can practically also live here. Just snake her dick tentacle up the pipes and she's our third roommate.
I'm so sorry for saying this, but their house is a glory hole.
Right? Yeah.
Oh god. Yeah, so this is one of the few things that I remember from the anime that you nailed it. This is what the character sounds like. It is the like high-pitched cutesy voice, like, oh my god, hi Tanikaze, like they thank you. And it's just
right,
it's
and
just
the tentacles got like two smaller tentacles that are like hands in front of it that'll wave around.
Yeah, it's weird. It's strange. But in its own way, like, yeah, like it kind of makes sense that it's so phallic, right? That it is like here the main character has barely seen another human, and when he does go out there, he only knows like, oh, like male, female, like that's historically what it's been, right? So what is this photosynthesizing? What is this like non-binary? What is this genderless thing? And like he's genuinely curious, but he's also like, because this story focuses on all these battles and stuff, like he never has time to actually really ask. And the like one or two times that he gets to, it's in this like awkward, almost like he's not meaning to be insensitive, right? But it's just like now is not the time, like
right.
Or like accidentally walks in the like photosynthesizing room when he doesn't know that he like is not supposed to, and there's a whole
he doesn't know what it means.
Characters, and it's just like but yeah, just and I think with the fact that they are trying to figure out the Guana and what they are, what they want, how to communicate with them. Can we make this hybrid thing? What exactly is a hybrid? What does that mean for humanity? What does that mean for the Guana? There is this like, well, can we fuck it? Like thing right there, like.
And something that struck me about this narrative is that we've got like there are the scenes where Tanikaze will accidentally walk into the girls' photosynthesis room where all the girls strip down naked and I guess stand in front of a window and absorb sunlight. They just float there, fill themselves with sun. Right? Yeah. Like that'll happen. There's a couple like busty supporting characters. There's some boob shots. But the story overall feels like not horny at all. Like you see like, oh, he walked in on a naked girl or there's a cleavage, but I see no evidence of any characters actually having sex with each other.
Yeah. I think compared to, remember when we read Fairy Tale? And just the amount of fan service and like, oh, here's a big titty anime girl, and it was just shot after shot of that, and it's like I think that character in there was supposed to be like 14 or like it was like really young, right? And it was just like, this is weird. Like I don't like this, but here, it like. Some of these characters might be younger, like you mentioned. Those clones are technically like 5 years old. We don't know exactly how old Tanikaze is or how old the other characters are, I don't think, but it is like they could be young enough where it's probably good that they aren't doing the TNA stuff like a lot of other manga is, but they're also kind of visibly at an age where like they're curious, they're learning about this stuff. So I think it is in the moments you do get where like a character falls down on another one and grabs their boob, it's just like the story immediately moves on because something just has to, like, there's another battle, or
Yeah.
it's like there's no moment to just stop and linger and be like,
Yeah.
haha, titty, right?
Right.
It looks like a
Like
penis, right? Yeah. No.
Any instances of boobs feel very inert in this story because like it leads nowhere. Like, sure, we've got like a panty shot once or twice or some boobs, but this is also a comic where nobody has kissed each other. There are like no real couples. Like, we have no sense of like romance or family units or anything like that. Like, I don't feel, except for like the occasional shape of somebody's body in a traditionally sexualized way, nothing feels sexy at all in this world.
Yep.
Everybody's got something else on their minds. It's so not a priority.
Yeah, it's an interesting
just an
relationship with that.
Yeah. I have to.
Yeah.
Okay. I have to go unlock my door really quick because my new roommate's supposed to come by and like pick up her keys. So I'll be back in a second. And then we have to talk about Azana because Azana is my favorite part.
All right. We are back. Hi.
Hi.
You said you wanted to talk about Izana. So let's talk
I love Azana.
Izana.
Azana is one of these humans that has that biological capability to change their body around to reproduce with people of either sex. In the manga, this is referred to as being middle gendered, and I watched like the first 2 episodes of the anime to check it out, and I think it's referred to as being bi-gendered, which might be a little bit more appropriate. I don't know, but I love Azana. Okay. I love that Azana, like the first time she meets Tanikaze, she's like, I understand what you may be thinking. Am I a boy or a girl? Neither and both. Like, she lays everything out. She just explains everything to him and is super friendly, very supportive, very patient, and she just becomes his best friend. And it's this tragic comedy that she has this crush on him, and he like likes her as a friend, but like does not pick up on it. And every time they go out and do something together, she's also a pilot, but she's like a lower rank, more fledgling pilot than he is, whereas he's like one of the new heroes who is obligated to be in every single battle. It's like almost a running joke that they will have plans, and then Tanikaze's like, I gotta go, bye, I gotta go fight in a war. And she loves him so much, and he has like he's like not,
he's just clueless.
Doesn't understand love yet. Right. He's absolutely clueless, and to the point where I think it is not until volume 8 that anybody actually refers to her as she. Like, I don't think she officially gets pronouns until book 8, which is part of the tragic comedy of the character, where it's like, you have so much love for these people around you, and it took us this many volumes for somebody to refer to you in the third person and talk about you when you're not around.
And even when they do, they usually just say the character's name. Like,
yes,
Izana likes this or does that, right? It's not like he or she, but they do often refer to her as Mr. They'll say like Mr. Izana, but then still use like she pronouns. Yeah,
and like we meet her grandma, and she's like, "That's my granddaughter, Mr. Izana."
Right, yeah. Which is neat. I don't know how much thought the creator like really dived into all of that. I would love to hear someone who's non-binary comment on some of that stuff of just like how well is this actually handled here.
And it is also tied to like sci-fi things that we don't have as current human beings in our understanding of gender. Like, it's less reliant on that and more on what if humans evolved to the point where they could like biologically switch all these parts around and be anything at any time. How would they think of themselves? How would they be referred to? How might their identities be?
Yeah. I mean, from what I can tell, it's never used in a negative light, though. It's not
No.
like, oh, they're the middle gender, they're bi-gender,
Yeah,
they're the weird. No,
nobody
it's just like,
makes
all right,
fun
no,
of her.
this is it.
Yeah.
This is normal. So yeah,
And she has like her own like changing room, you know, like you go to the pilot dormitories and it's like boys photosynthesizing, girls photosynthesizing, middle gender photosynthesizing. So it seems like there is like, this is common enough that there is a structure in it, in place for it in the culture. But she is so far, I think, the only character of this type who we have met. Well, and I guess suppose, you know, maybe those the Hanokas, all those girls who look like clones, you know, I think because that is something Azana says, like, I could sexually reproduce a clone of myself.
Yeah. So like this, I think, goes back to what we were saying for most of the podcast. Like, there's just a bunch of details that I don't feel like they're giving us enough of. Like, I would like to see more of those kinds of characters. I would like to see more bear characters. Like, there's one character in here who's just a bear and can
one
speak.
Bear woman and is not discussed. Like, and we get to know her fairly well as a character, but it is never explained.
That is
why
the joke.
Are you a bear woman? Where's the rest of you?
That's the joke. Like, when Tanikaze meets her, he's just like, wait a minute. Like, he has this like weirded out look, like, wait, what happened? And she's like, oh, with my hand, and she has like a mechanical hand.
She also has a robot hand, which also happens to Azana. Poor sweet Azana like goes out into battle and she gets injured. And I think it said that like she could have, like, they could have arranged her to like regrow those limbs biologically, but she's like, that would take so long. I don't know if we have the time. I need to get like back out in the field if I'm needed. So she took like a robot leg and a robot arm. And then there's a series of like slapstick jokes where like she doesn't know the strength of her limbs yet. She'll like grab something and like grab it too hard and break it. She gets upset that Tanikaze like ditched
cards. Check that one off.
She gets upset that Tanikaze like didn't purposefully ditch her. Like, they had dinner plans to eat the one actual food meal a week that humans need to eat now when they're not photosynthesizing. Like, they were going to have dinner together, and instead some other pilot asks out Tanikaze, and he's like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll go out with you. And she like finds him there in the restaurant and breaks the restaurant. and then she like gets an upgrade to her robot arm, or instead of having like 5 robot fingers, she's 10 fingers on that single hand.
Yep.
I love Azana. I think she's very sweet, and she's often the source of comedy, but in a way that I think the narrative is never making fun of her, never putting at a lesser status than any other characters. It is just these sort of awkward things tied to her. Everything is awkward for her. She's got this crush on Tanikaze. He doesn't see it. And there are moments where like they will be in a tough spot in battle. And, you know, like after she gets injured and gets half her limbs replaced with robot limbs, he's like, oh boy, Azana, glad you're okay. I'm going to go see that Guana that looks like Hoshijiro. I'll see you later. Like there's no gravity to anything dramatic that actually does happen. They can be in a life and death situation and it doesn't do anything for him to bring them closer together. And you can tell she's like, okay. Like, she's not going anywhere. She loves him. She's very patient, but she's like, okay, this still isn't working. I still gotta keep at him.
What do I need to do to make it work? God, no. So it's right. It's one of the funny things is like in this new society and culture where there are these genderless and or middle gender characters, people who can reproduce their own clones and do all of that stuff. Tanikaze, who was raised the most traditionally, like there's a binary male or female, he is the most asexual character in the entire book. And not because he's asexual, just because he's just so clueless and so platonic with everything, and just so he's not stoic. Like he has emotions and stuff, but it's so like it's just like I don't know how to describe it besides stoic, but that's not the right, like it's just straightforward and plain. I'm
Mm.
just like, wow, I'm glad you're okay. And he is genuinely glad that
Yes,
you're
yes.
okay. But then he's like, cool, I'm gonna go do this next thing. Peace. Right? And he's
Right.
just
Like he is also a loving character, but in a very sort of vague general way to everybody. You're right.
yeah,
Everybody's got a platonic connection to everybody, and he does not see Izana as anyone particularly special except for just the amount of time that they spend together. But Izana loves him.
it feels like
And
instead
is
of the
always like,
birds and the bees, he got this simulator. he got the
right.
the
Exactly.
Gundam simulator.
And like in the Gundam simulator is exclusively about mech fighting, and he probably only knows humans as like, right, those are like the civilian. That's what you protect when you're doing the mech simulator.
yeah.
And nobody put kissing. No, they never put two civilians kissing in the background of a battle scene, so he doesn't know what a kiss is.
Yeah, God, it's so funny. But yeah, like I want to know more characters like Izana. I want to know more characters like I don't remember her name, but again, the bear character.
Yes,
and she has an interesting backstory, being
yeah,
a part of this like original crew that found the Kabasashis, I believe is what they were, the weapons that can hurt the Guana on this like mysterious Swiss cheese looking pyramid out in space. Like who knows what the fuck that thing was. And she's immortal. She's like a part of the immortal crew that's on the ship that everyone thinks is a myth. Like no one believes in immortality yet, because I guess like, everyone just dies so much that no one has realized that these people are still around.
Right. There's like one guy with like an end is nigh sign walking around a street somewhere. One of the few times you see a street. And he's like, the council members, they've been immortal. It's been the same council members for everybody's lives, and they're just hiding it. And they're like, you old kook. That's not true.
It reminds me of Rorschach in Watchmen. God, yeah.
But this brings us a very interesting aspect to Tanikaze's character, where you learn that this grandfather he grew up with, that was one of these like original council members who denied being made immortal. And instead they're like, well, if you won't be immortal, we'll clone you and we'll make the clone immortal. And he's like, I don't know. No, I'm going to steal my clone and run away and hide with it. And that's Tanikaze. He is an immortal clone of this guy who he thought was his grandfather. And so he's sort of destined to take this role. And he does notice, like, I tend to heal pretty quickly. I wonder what that's about. And he's sort of kind of tries to hide that from people. I don't think he knows what it means, but he knows it's weird. And that is why he's required to fight in every single battle, because the commander is like, I am trying to hide the fact that you're immortal by hoping that one of these battles will kill you. Like we'll get what we need out of you as a warrior, and then you will die in a way that we can sweep all the secrecy under the rug.
Yeah, they make it seem like, they're trying to get rid of him by sending him out in all of this stuff. And as you learn more, it is like, yes, we are trying to kill you, but we can't. So might as well use what we got. So like you're just gonna fight nonstop because that's what you can do. But yeah, like that is the unraveling mystery of like what exactly is going on with the Guana, this hybrid. What did Ochi, I believe is his name, or Ochai or something. Like what was his experiment? Like what was he planning? Like what's going to happen with the council? Is there going to be some coup? Is the mystery of the Guana somehow connected to Tanikaze? There's still this mystery that I feel like has just started to unravel. We're just starting to get more backstory to this stuff that I am hoping we'll get a satisfying conclusion to in the second half of this. I like I said though, I remember liking Knights of Sidonia when I watched the anime, so I think we will be satisfied, but I don't remember. So who knows? Who knows?
I honestly don't pay a lot of attention to what's happening when Izana isn't around. I'm a singular focus when I read these books. I love Izana, and where we leave off in issue 8, her and Tanikaze are finally starting to grow a little bit closer. I love that he, like, after they find him scavenging around for rice and they adopt him into the pilot program, he's placed in like a dorm and he's completely forgotten. Oh, it's been a year. Like, there's a new students coming in. My dorm's going to go to somebody else. Like, I have to find another place to live. And there's an interesting bit where he goes to like this community's equivalent of like a real estate agent who's got this like master list of all these different odd like space properties.
Character. Like,
right. God, I would love to see just
so much
residences
cool stuff in this.
More.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, you see one character who's like rich and has a mansion somewhere. Where is that? How many mansions do we have? He gets this like little apartment that's like on the outside level of Sidonia. And he has like special clearance to live there because he's a pilot. And I guess that takes him closer to like the pilot center. But also he wants it so that Tsumugi can like snake through all the pipes and like also hang out there all the time. And it said he was able to have one roommate, and he does ask Izana to move in with him. And she takes this, like, oh, yes, this is my chance. And it's not, and he's starting to be a little less clueless right as we're like leaving volume 8. And also like this volume ends with Izana in like deep trouble out there in some space mission. And Tanikaze and Tsumugi are like joined together going out there to find her and save her and fight for her. Just very sweet. Like I love this weird family dynamic. That's this like Zana having a crush on Tanikaze and he's largely oblivious. He almost had a thing with Hoshijiro, whose spirit lives on in Tsumugi, the dick tentacle. And so it's like almost a love triangle, but it's also these three entities who do sincerely care about each other very much and make like a little home life together. And like the three of them are banded together as a unit. Also, it's interesting character like dynamics. Yeah.
Kind of relationship that they have going on. So
difficult to label, but very, very sweet and sincere. And I like that.
Yeah. Indeed.
I hope we get to spend more time with this in these coming volumes. I imagine that as we get closer to the climax, we're not going to get less battling, but I hope we do still find time to flesh out Sidonia a little bit more, learn a bit more about it, learn about these co-pilots, like all the Hanoka girls, and their clone existence, learn a bit more about the bear woman who runs the dormitories. And like learn more about Izana's grandmother, who's like a scientist doing shady things. Learn more about this little family unit they've got. There's a lot to learn about, just from a character development standpoint. And I hope we do find room for that as the story wraps to a conclusion.
Agreed. That's what I'm hoping for. And for them to finally figure out how to be friends with the Guana.
That would be nice. Yeah. What do the Guana truly want? They're very mysterious.
They just want a cup of sugar. Hey neighbor, do you have a cup of sugar we can borrow? That's all they wanted. I'm looking forward to the second half of this. I'm excited to dive more in and see what the conclusion is. I think that's kind of about all I have to say on this first half of stuff. So like we said, we will be covering the remaining 7 volumes of Knights of Sidonia at the end of February. That's when we will be finishing up our coverage on that. So just a note, on Comixology Unlimited, they only have up through issue 12. If you have a Comixology Unlimited subscription, you can read volumes 1 through 12 for free. However, if you don't have that, you'll have to buy all of the volumes, and all of the volumes are available for purchase. So we're going to have to purchase the final 3 volumes to finish this story, which is fine by me. But yeah, I think 12 out of 15 volumes is more than enough to entice you on this story here. So there you go. Yeah, bingo. Let's pull up our bingo sheets here. I got that. Got that. There we go. Here's our bingo sheets.
We've got a spaceship, but I don't think we have any sort of spaceship AI in the story.
Yeah, I don't think there's an AI running this ship.
We don't have a power outage. We have gravity outages, but not like all the lights go out.
Yeah.
I think looking at my sheet, the only one I could get is awkward hand touch when Tanikaze and Hoshijiro are like taking that tour of the ocean level of the ship, like right before they go into that battle where she dies and gets and becomes a Guana and becomes Samugi eventually. I think there's an awkward hand touch there, or at least hands near enough to each other that there's the tension of perhaps touching.
I would also honestly give you the awkward boob touch that happens in here for that one, because it is like to the same effect, kind of just like, oh, we did the awkward touch thing, let's you know
right. Oh my god, Izana accidentally crushing things with her new robot hand also counts as an awkward hand touch.
If you had a didn't know my own strength, that would absolutely.
If only I did.
Right. So I'll give you awkward hand touch here. Bam, bam, bam. And then let's see. Oops. No diary entries. No Hans Zimmer score. Ooh, is the bear in an apron? Because
yes,
that would
I think
be
so.
Mom in the apron.
Very motherly figure.
She is literally the dead mother.
Yes, the literal mama bear in this story. No other types of bears.
Let's see. Foe waiting in the shadows to talk. No. Character gets hit through building. I would say no on that one.
Yeah, not much of a training montage. I don't think we really have a signature weapon or move. Because like there's the Kazabashi, but those belong to everybody. Right. A lot of different Garde pilots. Like it's not just Tanikaze's.
Right. Here's one that I want to ask you about. Secret royalty. Because he is the like, I guess he's not super secret, but he is the clone of this, like he's the immortal clone of this council member. And it is kind of a secret to most people, but not
I'd
all.
Count that. Yeah, that is metaphorically the royalty of this society. Yeah, I'd give you secret royalty for sure.
Then I think the ones I got were secret royalty, mom in an apron, and awkward hand touch. Those 3. Those are the ones I got.
Nice.
Cool. I think that is a good update for our bingo card sheets. There you go. Okay. Bring us back over here. There we go. Now, let's do recommendations. Melissa, if people This is one. So we're only doing a two-parter here,
Yeah.
right? So we normally do recommendations on our end of the month special for the first time we cover it and the last time, which means we would be doing them for both episodes of this. Do we want to just save them all for the end here?
Sure. Yeah. In the interest of my time here today, sure. I'll do it next month.
Sounds good to me.
Maybe maybe by then I'll actually have another thing to recommend besides Pacific Rim. Maybe I'll get a second recommendation.
You'll be, hey, I heard you like those Gundam things. Maybe that. Cool. Let's move on then. So for next week, we already know what we are doing for this next week because you gave your pitches last week. Do you want to tell everyone a little bit more about what we are doing next week?
Yeah, next week to honor the Winter Olympics in Beijing, I pitched 3 Chinese movies. We watch a decent amount of international entertainment here on the review show, but we haven't made it to China yet. And we are going to watch In the Mood for Love, Wong Kar-wai's film from 2000. I think set in Hong Kong, not Beijing, unfortunately. We didn't get the same city. But it's set in the 1960s, and it is about these 2 star-crossed lovers, these 2 neighbors who find out that their spouses are cheating on them. And as they confide in each other their feelings, they start to fall for each other. And then they feel like they're in the same boat that their cheating spouses are. And it's a conflicted, angsty romance tale that I pitched because I know it's supposed to have beautiful set dressing and cinematography and be wonderfully colorful and vivid to look at, despite the sadness of the story itself.
Mood for Love. I think that also works good with February being Valentine's Day. I know I'll have some Valentine's Day picks or some romantic picks for that next week as well. So join us next week for In the Mood for Love. That's what we will be doing. But I think that about wraps us up then for this week. So Melissa, where can the people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Wilkywit. That's WILKYWIT. And listen to my other podcast, Saturday Morning Obscurities, so where me and my brother Jams talk about weird old kids shows you feel like only you remember. Our first episode was on a French-Japanese co-production cartoon called Ulysses 31 that is the Odyssey, but a space opera.
Oh.
So if you just like space stories, listen to our first episode on Ulysses 31.
There's been a comic that I've wanted to pitch on this show forever. But I've wanted to do like a theme with it. Like, let's take classics that are reimagined in a different genre or stuff like that. And it's the same one. The comic is literally called Odyssey, but spelt like ODYC or like ODY-C.
Okay.
And yeah, it's the Odyssey, but it's like a sci-fi space thing. So interesting. Good to know that there is some more of that out there.
Check it. We found it all on YouTube. It's a cartoon. It's from like the late 70s, early 80s. Ulysses himself has got like big, glorious, flowing like disco hair. Check it out.
Interesting.
I recommend that,
Good
I
stuff.
guess. Pacific Rim and Ulysses 31.
You guys can find me at Yo Kyle Springer on Twitter. And if you guys want to stay up to date with all of the stuff that we do here at the Whatnauts, we are at the Whatnauts on Twitter. We are also on TikTok, so go follow us there on TikTok as well. Yeah, it is. I was gonna say it's the end of the year, but it's not the end of the year. It's the start of the year. So if
End
you
of the
can,
month.
it would be super helpful, right? Yeah, it'd be super helpful if you guys could go rate and review our show. We should have been talking about that all this month, but I've been slacking. So. But yeah, if you guys have nice things to say about the show and want to have it shared with more people, this is a great way to support us just by saying some nice things, giving us a good rating. That helps us out a ton. So please, please, please go take the time to do that. Yeah, I think that is about it for this week, number 191, the Whatnauts review show. Yeah, that's it. We will see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.